Some homes need paint, some homes need a bulldozer. And if you're standing in your parents' house right now trying to figure out which one you're dealing with, this video is for you. Here's the question I get from families managing an inherited home. The question is, should we fix it up or should we just sell it as is? And most of the time, they've already gotten conflicting advice from other people, even like spouses or parents and kids arguing about these things. A lot of times there are investors calling and knocking on the door saying, hey, I'll take it as is, I'll close fast, cash for your house, sell in 9 days, all those types of things. The contract nephew says he could do a full, beautiful kitchen remodel that would add $100,000 in value. And somewhere between these two answers is typically where the truth lies. And knowing the difference there is kind of the difference between leaving money on the table and spending more money than you're going to recover on the sale of the home. Plus, not to mention the time, the hassle factor, the risk, the market changing. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make this decision, not based on gut instinct, but based on good old-fashioned math. My name is Emily Cressy. I work with families in the greater Seattle area who are selling inherited homes and estate properties, and I have walked through a lot of houses that need a lot of work. And I've helped families figure out which work to do and which work to skip, and when just to skip all of it entirely. You just do nothing, walk away, save yourself. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll walk through the 4 questions that investors and experienced agents ask before deciding whether to renovate a home. Next, I'm going to break down the specific renovations that actually pay off based on the data and the ones that might look amazing but are not smart to do. And third, I'm going to talk about the as-is sale option because sometimes that's the right answer. Just don't touch a thing. And then finally, I'm going to give you a simple framework for running the math on your specific situation so you're not making a $50,000 decision based on a hunch. And here's the counterintuitive thing I want you to hold on to throughout this whole video here. The homes that get the most renovation work are not always the ones that sell for the most or that have the most profit in them. So let's start with the 4 questions. Most families who inherit a home think the question is, what does this house need? But that's the wrong starting point, and here's why. When you ask, what does this house need? You're thinking like an owner who's going to live there. You're looking around, you're seeing old carpet, dated cabinets, popcorn ceilings, and your instinct is to fix it all like the way you would like it, the way you would want to live in it. But the real question is not what the house needs to be perfect. The real question is, what does the house need in order to compete, and what will a buyer actually pay for when it comes to repairs, and what's not going to have a positive return on investment? These are different questions. And I worked with a family whose mother had lived in the house for 70 years. The house was dated. There was old carpet, there were original fixtures, there was red shag carpet, there was wallpaper in the bathrooms, dark wood paneling all over the place. The bones were solid. It was a big lot, it was a great neighborhood, and the structure was very well maintained. And the seller considered remodeling the kitchen. She asked me if she should redo the bathrooms. She had gotten a contractor bid for a lot of money to do all of this work. But here was the recommendation. Do not remodel the kitchen. Do not remodel the bathrooms. Do take up the carpet. There were hardwoods underneath. You could refinish those floors, repaint the interior in a neutral palette, and get a pre-inspection. And of course, I do recommend in many cases that you address structural things. We had the inspection and fixed a couple of structural issues. And the cost for that was only about $15,000. The house sold in 2 days. There were multiple offers and it went for $25,000 over the asking price. The buyer waived the inspection contingency. If she had spent $80,000 on a kitchen and bathrooms, she might have netted the same amount of profit after spending months and thousands of dollars on these renovations. This was not a luxury price point home. This was an affordable home, and buyers in that price range often do not pay dollar for dollar for custom upgrades. So this is the core mistake that families often make with inherited homes, is that they over renovate based on how they would like to live or something that they always wanted to see done with the home, and not the actual math not the return on investment. You don't want to feel guilty about the condition of the house. You wouldn't want to live there when it was like that. You don't want to pay for expensive renovations. The investor sitting across the table from you does not make this mistake. If someone is a professional investor, they're going to know exactly which improvements add value and which ones don't. There can be a lot of things that are wasteful. And investors calculate their offer based on what the house will be worth after it's renovated, minus this cost, minus this profit margin. So I feel like we should do the same thing as you. You are the owner, you're investing in repairs or not. And so we're going to look at it this way, as if you were an investor. What's your return on all of this work that you could do for the property? So let's run through those 4 questions that an investor might ask as he's examining how much to pay for a given property. So first, what's the condition of the major systems? Roof, furnace, water heater, foundation, electric panel, plumbing. These are your big ticket items. Most buyers cannot get a conventional loan on a house with a bad roof or a compromised foundation. So if those systems are in trouble, you either fix them or you really have to price aggressively, because you're going to be selling to an investor who's using cash or a home equity line of credit or a very expensive private money loan to buy this house and fix it up. Second question is, what is the neighborhood standard? This is a critical question and most families miss it. If you're comparing a house in Bellevue to a house in Renton, you might over or under repair depending on which way you're looking. So you need to renovate it to compete with the other homes around it in its own marketplace, in its own neighborhood, in its own price range. If every other home within 2 miles is selling with updated kitchens and quartz this and fancy bathrooms, then you may need to at least come close to that standard or else price it in. But if the neighborhood standard is a 1980s kitchen and carpet throughout, then a full remodel is not necessary, and you might not be able to sell the home for enough extra to pay for that full remodel. You might have made your home the most expensive house on the block. This happens a lot with condos too. The average price in the building is not going to allow you to get reimbursed on a $300,000 condominium renovation and a $600,000 to $700,000 condo unit building. You might end up spending $60,000 on repairs, where the buyers are only going to pay you $40,000 more for a renovated home. So question number 3 is, do you have the time and resources to really undertake this remodel? Renovation takes time. Try ordering some cabinets, see how many months it's going to take until they're delivered. See when a contractor can get you booked in. Could be, 6 months of work, lots of money paid out up front to get the work done. And who knows, is it now going to be the middle of December when you're trying to sell the home? Is it going to get done on time? There's a lot of risk involved in this. Typically, you'll need to either be there on the ground or have a general contractor to oversee all of the subs, because there are a lot of different people and different moving parts. You got to approve the work, manage contractors, and if the estate is already in probate, if there are out-of-state heirs, and if siblings don't agree on anything, then the logistics of a full renovation just become more and more difficult. It's really not uncommon for renovations that were supposed to take 6 weeks to stretch out to 4 months. And every month that you're holding the property, you're paying taxes, insurance, utilities, and possibly a mortgage. And those carrying costs can add up faster than most people expect, and they also eat into your profit. The 4th question is, what does the buyer pool look like for this property? For an estate home with a lot of deferred maintenance, you're typically going to have 2 types of buyers: investors and owner-occupants who want a project. There are a lot of people in the trades who watch these, real estate investing shows, and they want to put in their own elbow grease to make their home just the way they want it. Both of these types of buyers are going to pay less than they would pay for a fully renovated home, but if you do the prep work, you can often open the door to a 3rd type of buyer, which is like the conventionally financed buyer who wants a move-in ready home, and those buyers are going to pay more. The question is, what's the cost of attracting them, and is that actually worth it? So what actually pays off and what does not? Let's talk about the numbers, because this is where the counterintuitive stuff kind of comes to light. So according to the 2025 Costs versus Value Report, which is the gold standard national study that tracks renovation ROI every year, the highest returning improvements are not kitchen remodels and they're not bathroom remodels. They're smaller, faster, and cheaper. Here's the rundown. Garage door replacement, 268% ROI. You spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a new garage door and it can add $12,000 in value. That depends on the current state of your existing garage door, but it's the front face of the house and many times, and it can make a huge first impression. A steel entry door replacement can have a 200% ROI where you're spending $2,000 and getting $5,000 in perceived value. And then also think about a minor kitchen refresh, updated countertops, new hardware for your cabinets, painting the cabinets. You get roughly 113% ROI. That means you get 13% more than you spend in profit. A full kitchen overhaul, you only get about half your money back. You could spend $80,000 and only get $40,000 in increased value for the home. So on a full kitchen remodel, you're typically going to be losing money. Now, I will add to this conversation that the Seattle market is not national average, right? Our prices are higher here. Our buyers are more sophisticated, but the principle holds that modest targeted improvements beat full renovations almost every time. And especially for an estate seller who's not living in the home, it's often just not worth it to go through all of the rigmarole to get this done. So let's talk about what is actually going to pay off and have a positive return on investment for you. There are two primary buckets here, the inside work and the outside work. Inside the home, here's the list, okay? Write this down. Neutral paint. This is probably the highest return on investment item in terms of dollars spent. A dated, colorful, mismatched interior says this is somebody else's house. Neutral walls are like blank slate. Buyers project themselves into the home much more easily in a neutral home. Flooring is your second one. That's a top priority. Bad carpet is one of the first things buyers notice and one of the first things they use to negotiate down your price. So here's the current thinking on flooring. If there are hardwoods under the carpet, refinish those hardwoods. Almost always worth it. If the carpets are worn, stained, damaged, then I want you to replace them. And when you replace them, strongly consider not doing carpet at all, but using luxury vinyl plank flooring, which is what builders and flippers are installing right now, unless you're in a super high-end home, in which case, go ahead and invest in real hardwood floors. Buyers do not like carpet. They think it's dirty and germy and has pet hair and allergies and smells, collects dust. So consider getting rid of carpet if you're taking the step of removing old carpet. I will say that LVP on stairs can be more expensive, so factor that into your budget conversation and consider, doing secondary spaces like basements or stairs in carpet to save money. If the carpet is in decent shape, a professional cleaning and restretching may be all that you need. Now let's do a pre-inspection and then take that for targeted repairs. A pre-inspection is going to cost you $500 to $600 depending on the size of the home. And that's going to tell you everything that a buyer's inspector would find, but you're going to get a preview, cheat notes before the test takes place, right? So you can see that inspection, you can fix the things that you think would cause a lender or the buyer to kind of balk or walk away. This could be structural issues, roof leaks, electrical hazards, and you want to go ahead and fix those before you list the home. You can leave the cosmetic stuff for the new buyer to handle, but anything that affects safety or lending in particular should probably be addressed. Let's talk about professional staging. It typically costs $3,000-$4,000 for a main floor staging package, and staged homes consistently sell faster and for closer to full price than unstaged ones. For an inherited property full of decades of furniture, staging is often essential, and you want to get rid of all that stuff. And don't keep your old giant furniture from the 1970s that does not add value to the home. If anything, just empty it out and leave it vacant. Otherwise, empty it out and add some staging furniture. A home stuffed floor to ceiling with personal property is very hard to sell. You need the home cleared out, cleaned up by a professional cleaner so it'll feel bigger, smell better, and just be more livable. Have a clean slate there, or some staging items to suggest a modern lifestyle. Now, on the outside of the home, remember that first impressions happen before the buyers even walk through the front door. This is where some of the cheapest improvements are, and they can have a huge impact. For example, repainting the front door, low cost, high visual impact. It signals that someone cares about the property. So before a buyer even steps inside, you want to see potted flowers at the entry. You want to see a flat of flowers from Home Depot. You could get that for like $30. And it makes the entry feel alive and welcoming. The National Association of Realtors research suggests that the first $1,000 or so spent on exterior landscaping is generally worth it. And that's certainly not a full landscape renovation, but it's a cleanup. It's bark, it's tidying, it's pruning, it's edging the lawn. And then you can go ahead and stop there unless the yard has a specific problem or it's been really badly neglected. You also want to clean the windows. So that's surprisingly impactful. Natural light is a major buyer draw, and dirty windows block the light. And when they're trying to enjoy the view, you want it to be clean. You can power wash the driveway and the walkways, but don't do the roof. That will damage the roof. As far as the deck, a lot of inherited homes have decks that have seen better days, and they can actually age pretty quickly with all of the water and moss that we have here in Seattle if they're not being repainted or resealed. Sometimes the deck boards can be damaged, so do be careful with that. But even so, chances are you don't need to tear out the whole deck. If the decking boards on top are deteriorated, take those off and put new decking boards on, as long as the structural parts underneath are still strong. Also, pressure washing and repainting an aging deck can make it look significantly better. Now, if there's moss on the roof, which is a very common problem in the Pacific Northwest, I do want you to get it treated. A professional can put zinc powder on your roof for like $200. And most importantly, it does not damage the shingles. You do not want to pressure wash the roof. I see a lot of people making this mistake, and that removes the sandy granules on the shingles, which are what reflect the heat and protect the roof. And this can really age the roof and really take years off the lifespan of the roof. So please don't do that. Zinc powder treatments only if you really need to, like a stiff broom, you could use that, but don't do power washing. Please pass this along to whoever is managing the property repairs. Now, we talked a little bit about the return on replacing the garage door. Now, of course, you have a great looking garage door, you don't need to do that. But if it looks rough from the street, dented, dated, peeling, it's one of the first things that buyers may see and one of the cheapest things to fix relative to the impact that it has. It comes down to a curb appeal question. If you have an old garage shed in the back alley, then that's probably not relevant. Okay, now let's talk about what to skip. Usually you do not want to do the full kitchen gut remodel. Think really carefully before committing to this type of a project. You don't know what the new buyer will want. Are they going to want gray? Are they going to want white? Are they going to want cherry, wood, oak? Like it's tough to do. So the project will almost certainly take longer than planned, and original cabinets, I would say, will hurt your sales price if they're super old, but that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to sell it for enough more to cover the cost of the full remodel. So please talk to your agent and do the math before committing. Full bathroom remodel, the same logic applies. I have sold properties with pink bathtubs and green bathtubs, and sometimes that was just the thing at the time, but they still work perfectly well, and getting that out of there and something new in doesn't always pay off. Now, a note on the financing here with the prep work. One thing that does stop families from doing the right prep work is cash. If they don't want to use their own cash, maybe the estate doesn't have liquid funds for that type of thing. This is worth knowing, which is that if there's equity in the home, we can often finance the repairs and improvements using that equity. The contractors will wait to get paid until closing, and they will get paid out of the proceeds from the sale. So if you do want to do some projects, you don't have to use your own cash out of pocket to get it done. The costs come out at the end. So if the prep work makes financial sense and we've run the numbers together and confirmed, just remember that the funding doesn't have to be a barrier to doing what you think needs done. Now, finally, let's talk about as-is. We all would love to just do an as-is sale, no repairs, nothing, just what is that like? What does this mean? The phrase selling as is sounds like You're giving up. You're tossing up your hands. You're apologizing for the house. But a well-executed as-is listing is a legitimate strategy. And for some inherited properties, it's the best one. So here's when an as-is sale makes sense. First, when the renovation cost outpaces the value increase. So if the property needs $200,000 in work and the neighborhood ceiling is $500,000 for the sale, you're going to be over improving the property pretty much no matter what. A well-priced as-is listing may net you more than a renovated listing after you factor in the costs and the carrying time. When heirs are out of state or unavailable to manage all this renovation stuff, someone has to be there on the ground making the decision. And if that's not possible, the renovation will drag out and cost much more than planned, potentially. So when the property has tear down or in development potential, is another really good time to consider not doing anything to the home, because you don't want to renovate the home and then have a developer come and bulldozer all of that down, right? If the developer is likely to scrape the lot and build something new, then the renovation dollars are like literally just wasted. You need to price for the value of the land, not the value for the house. Another time to consider as-is when you're on some sort of a time frame. So a clean, well-priced as-is listing can close in 30 days or less sometimes. A renovation might take 4 months just to get started. So here's what I want you to understand about selling as is. It does not mean priced low. It means priced correctly for the condition. A well-priced as is property listed on the MLS with honest photos that show clearly what the condition is will still attract competition. And competition is what drives price. I worked with an out-of-state heir who lived in Texas and inherited a rental property in Seattle. The roof had been patched, and because it had leaked, the roof was covered with moss. The basement took on water. Everything was dated and deteriorating. It had been infested with rats at one point. She had already been talking with investors who were offering her $300,000, $400,000 for the house, and the renovation to bring it to buyer-ready condition would probably have cost $150,000 or more, and she'd still be competing with newer, nicer properties nearby. So instead, we listed it for $700,000 as is. And it took a while, but after a month, we got multiple offers competing against each other. She went under contract at $685,000. And the nice thing about that was that the MLS put her in front of every single investor in the marketplace who was looking for a home. And competition is what drove the price up. That was not that guy's initial offer to us. But we had another guy that made another lower initial offer, and then we worked them against each other. So the lesson here is that sometimes you don't need to do anything to the property. You just need to price it according to who the end buyer is and how much money they need to make on the home. So here's the other side of that coin. I recently worked with a seller who was getting ready to retire and move to Idaho. And when we sat down, I loved his home, but it was very colorful inside and out, which I personally love, but it's not the way we sell a property. There are different types of flooring. There's a boat on the front lawn. And he said, what do I need to do? And I gave him a pretty long list, and he did it. He repainted inside and out. He replaced his countertops with quartz. He moved the boat. He reseeded the lawn. He got a pre-inspection and a sewer scope. He fixed the things that he was told to fix. And he spent real time and real money getting the home ready. And by the time he was done, admittedly, he was a little worn out. He spent 6 months. But here's what happened. The house launched on a Thursday. The open house was packed. There were multiple offers, and he ended up selling for $50,000 over his asking price, which he got what he had privately called his dream price. And I said, Shane, I don't think we're going to get it. You should price in this range. And he typed he priced at the top end of the range I thought he could get, and he still went over. So he had a very positive result, and he signed the contract at like 11 o'clock at night on offer night and headed to Ohio in the motorhome, and felt very satisfied that the prep work had been well worth it. But he did not do a gut remodel. He did not remodel the bathrooms. He brought the house up to neighborhood standard and let the location and the yard do the rest. And that's really the sweet spot, not overpricing for the neighborhood. So here are the 5 steps you need to follow to do your own math for your own home. So number 1, get a market analysis. Give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever, tell me your address, and it will tell you what it's going to sell for. And you're looking for two numbers. What is the home worth in the current as-is condition, and what would it be worth fully renovated to the neighborhood standard? And the gap between those two numbers is your renovation ceiling. That's the max. So if we say it could sell for $700 as is and $750 fixed up, you don't want to spend more than $750 on fixing it up. But in reality, you want to spend considerably less to do that, right? Because you want to have a profit. Step 2 is to get contractor bids, and that would be specifically for the work that you want it done, painting, flooring, etc., and limit the scope to what your agent recommends. Not everything in the house that you would possibly ever wanted to do, but just like the most impactful high ROI items. So step 3, you get the bids back and run the math. If you could spend $50,000 on that renovation and the bids are saying it's going to have $25,000 in cost, then you're probably going to do fine. If they're telling you it's going to cost you $45,000, then that's probably not going to be worth it, right? Especially when you factor in carrying costs, taxes, insurance, utilities, and the risk and the timing. The market could change, the hassle factor, right? So then step 4 is you're going to decide based on the profit margin if it's worth doing these renovations. And a lot of families over renovate because they're afraid of being judged, right? Their house is going to be in pictures all over the world. They don't want people to think they're selling their parents' home in bad condition, or they're not carrying on the legacy or something like that. But a clean, well-priced home sold in as-is condition is going to do great. The question is just whether the profit margin justifies the work. And step 5 here is to consider a partial renovation. This is really probably the sweet spot for most people. Just do the things that are going to move the needle the most. Start with the low cost, high ROI items like paint, flooring, pre-inspection and repairs, staging and clean out, the curb appeal. Go for the quick wins and don't do everything. The contractor will have a lot of ideas that you will not be able to afford to do. Please subscribe to my channel if you found this useful. And I put out a new video every week for Seattle home buyers and sellers. So I will see you in the next one.